For many of you, this will be covering ground you've already covered. But if you're not already connected to this Sangha, this will be perhaps a new slant on meditation, because I think I'm speaking to pretty experienced meditators here. So in fact, any of you could really take this seat. I'm just sort of sitting here taking this place so that the teaching mandala can happen. We're all part of it. I'm holding the book, The Heart of Meditation, which I think everyone has had access to or will have access to, newer people. This is in our bookshop. And it's anyone who signs up for the Discovering the Heart of Buddhism course, this is the first thing that they receive. So Lama has asked me to just say a few words to set us up for meditation, using the guidelines in her book. So I thought I would maybe talk a little bit about why, what and how of meditation. And so the why, I like to think about why as an invitation to us to find where we're starting from. So we all are so different, which is the joy, really, of being part of a Sangha. We're so different and we all start from very different places. And in the Heart of Meditation, Lama invites us to check in with our starting place. Why are we here? What's driven us to come here? What's prodded us? What's got us away from our ordinary daily life to make this space, make this time? Why is it important to us? And that's not a question I'm going to sit here and answer clearly. It's something that we take time to drop in and see if something might emerge from our experience. We question, what's this all about? What am I hoping for in meditation? Because we might all find this, but after a while, meditation can actually, unfortunately, become a bit of a job. Something that we should do, or something, I guess it's time to meditate, better meditate. Just another thing on our to-do list. So it's really helpful frequently, like at the beginning of every session, to remind ourselves of, why is this important to me? Why am I doing it? So that the practice can actually come from the heart rather than from a stick saying, meditate, meditate, meditate. And Lama Shenpen calls this our heart wish. A very alive place. And some sense of, in our hearts already, there's some kind of sense of direction, some sense of wish, movement, dynamism. And in fact, last night, Lama said some amazing things, and one thing she said was something like, we sit with our alive experience and that longing for meaning and truth. It's kind of part of what we are. We wouldn't be human if we wouldn't be alive if we didn't have that longing. It's intrinsic to what being alive means, is that longing. So it's always good to, as we set ourselves up for meditation, to come back, to come home to that heart, that longing, so that our meditation can flow from there. So another part of this question of why are we meditating can come to us from people who are further along the path than we are now, can help us, can open our eyes to the possibility of where this might all be leading. And that's where Lama Shenpen starts from, really. She likes to start off immediately with the fruit of the path. So that sense that there is something to discover in our very experience right now. It's not somewhere else, it's not some other time, it is right here now. And that can be like a massive leap, because my experience right here now quite often is doesn't feel very enlightened, doesn't feel very awake, doesn't feel very easeful. And yet that's what our teachers are pointing to us, that right here, right now, there is, like the sun in the sky behind the clouds, there is something that's perhaps obscured, but there is the possibility of discovering something that has refuge, has the taste of liberation, has meaning. And so that's our starting place from meditation, those two, that sense of coming to where we're starting from, and that sense of that possibility of vision that's being offered to us. that meditation could be a path. And I say the word path with some sort of sense of irony, because although, yes, there is a path and meditation is a journey on a path, actually, as we're being told, well, like the sun, it's already always here and just obscured, and if only we could let go of all that's obscuring it, our natural radiance would shine forth. And so meditation is a bit like creating the conditions that the clouds might evaporate and our natural sunshine would shine forth. So it's not about having to, do a big job of work, get our project manager hat on and sort ourselves out, make ourselves a better version of what we are. It's actually a transformation, uncovering of what we truly are. So with that in mind, what is meditation? And that's why Lama Shempen likes to define or describe meditation as resting. This lovely verb, resting. Resting in the awakened heart. And she's also said in this book, she quotes saying, I quote her saying, meditation is what happens when we set time aside to become aware of our experience so we can deepen our understanding of it. And then last night she said, and I really love this, meditation is making friends with our experience in order to free it. So that's sort of pointers to what meditation is all about. So yes, we start from this high view. It's resting in the awakened heart. Oh, great. Okay. Light the candles, sit down. I'm just going to sit here and rest in the awakened heart. Well, it's wonderful to have that intuition of what the possibilities of our potential as a being are. And yet the reality is quite often we need a bit more help. But it's always really good to start from the essence that we're actually already here and we could simply rest in our true nature. So that's where we come to the how of meditation. And I always remember before this book was written, which was about 10 years ago, I think, there was some discussion about should we really write a book? And some discussion around, well, any instruction or any guidance that we give, people might grasp onto it and hold it in a rather heavy way and think, well, if I just focused on the breath, or if I just got this instruction right, that would be what meditation was. And you can see I'm doing this with my hands in a rather, clinging on to method. So, there was some discussion about, well, maybe we just say it's resting in your true nature and that's that, and just see what happens. And I think for some people that would be really hit the spot. So formless meditation is really just resting in our experience as it is, without any particular focus, which is quite challenging. And so it's, although she says it's setting time aside to become aware of our experience, obviously this resting in our nature can be done at any time. So it can be done in formal sessions or informally. And it can be done while we're washing up, while we're walking from one place to another. So there's no time when we can't be practicing clearly. And yet giving ourselves definite time helps to create the conditions for us to go a bit deeper into exploring our experience. So she's come up with 4 key phrases, as she calls them, to help us to stay on track. So when we've set ourselves up, we've connected to why we're here, we're set the conditions right, so we've got a bit of space, a bit of time, and we sit. We remember the essence of meditation about resting in our true nature, in the awakened heart. And then we can drop in these key phrases during the practice to help us to get some kind of bearing on where we are and what's going on. There's a fantastic story that Rigsing Shikpo tells, I think, about a really diligent student in Tibet who has a teacher who comes to him once a year and gives him instructions of how to practice, and he takes these instructions and he practices and practices and practices and gets it right, makes sure he's right. And then the teacher comes back the next year and says, well, perhaps try it this way. I don't think you've quite got it right. Oh, okay. And so he goes off and practices really hard, really, putting all his effort into it. And then the teacher realizes he's actually trying too hard. So the next time the teacher comes to him, the teacher says, do you know what? I'm really sorry, but I've given you all the wrong instructions, and you've taken it so much into your practice now that there's no hope for you. Whatever I said, I'm really sorry, but actually, that's it. I think I've mucked up, and there's no way forward for you now. You'll just have to, off you go. I'm sorry. And the student's like devastated, and what am I going to do now? What can I do? So he just goes off, but because he's spent years and years and years sitting, he just says, well, everything I'm doing is not getting there. Okay, well, I can't not sit, so I'll just sit anyway. Ping! He's enlightened. So that's a wonderful pointer to how we can actually try too hard. And of course, we have the story of the Buddha who remembered after all the practice of austerities, he remembered his childhood and sitting under the rose apple tree, watching the ploughing festival, and that simplicity and easefulness. It's all already actually okay. All I need to do is somehow let go into naturalness as it is right now. And that's it.